All right. It's not here either. Let's call the meeting to order, so you stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. We're two topics on the discussion agenda. Planning Commission Council joint meeting to discuss sustainability and hopefully finalize the personnel policy. So, Danielle, do you want to lead us to discussion, or should I ask the planning commission?
No, I can kind of take the lead really quick before we get started. As I think you guys know, but we have Jennifer here with Planning Commission and Diane with Planning Commission. I know that Sherry was not able to make it tonight. I've not heard from the others, so they may be coming in a little bit late. And then Jerry also sits on the Planning Commission. So I'll kind of jump in, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jerry, who's. Do you have a question?
Yeah, just on that topic, do we have a member of council on every auxiliary board at this point, Ed?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
So I'm gonna let Jerry, who who did help me immensely get ready to bring this to you guys and the Planning Commission. But I'm sure you guys recall a few months back, Mr. Baker came to council asking about a sustainability plan, and you guys, I think rightly deferred or sent it to the Planning Commission level first. So I brought it up to the Planning Commission, who was very willing to work on this. However, the discussion at that time was that they really were wanting some guidance from the village council so that they didn't spend all this time and work going down a path only to find out that's not at all what you guys wanted. So with Jerry's help, he really started looking into different plans that are out there, reaching out to some different resources to get a kind of understanding of what sustainability is. And I'll let him kind of turn it over and talk about the different items in your packet tonight, and then I'll be here to help guide or do whatever we need moving forward. But you want to kind of take it over?
Sure. So as far as sustainability goes, I kind of went into this with a limited knowledge of what we were looking at. It really is. The green part of it is just a part of it. There are lots of other components that go along with it. I spoke with Danielle at Michigan Green Communities. They work in conjunction with Michigan Department of, well, I don't know the natural resources, but it's Environment, Great Lakes and Energy now. And they actually have a challenge that they do every year to see where your community, how it stacks up. So they give you a list of items. That is what is on this part here with the tabs along the side. So really, the areas that we should be focusing on are planning for inclusive and lasting impacts, climate resilience, energy efficiency and renewable energy, responsibly managing materials. So there's a lot of things in that. Sustainable land use and economic development. And we'll go through these if you want, but improving health outcomes. So making sure that the citizens in the town are getting healthy fruits and vegetables. I think you can incorporate like the community garden into that kind of thing. Protecting and conserving water resources. We've talked a lot about that with the river. Support clean and inclusive mobility. A lot of that is focused on public transportation. And then finally, inspire and mobilize residents. How do we get the community involved to be a part of the plan? The other part is from the mission from Eagle. This sticker packet, and Danielle and I both kind of liked this part because in each description it gives you a definition on what we should be focusing on, whereas on the My Green Communities part, it was just action items, things that we need to do. So somehow, I think if we can blend these two things together and figure out what's right for Blissfield, what's going to work for Blissfield within our budget, those sorts of things. And as you go through these lists, you'll find out we're already doing a lot of this stuff. Our sidewalk plan, for one, fits right into this. So I guess that's kind of the overview of where we are. So Danielle, we hit on everything we wanted to hit on there in the opening.
Yeah, I think so. So I think the big thing is just maybe kind of going through these and saying yes or no, we want to focus on these things. So that, again, planning commission has some guidance. And I guess just before you get into this, so you kind of know what it'll look like. So our intention is that I'm gonna make some notes and share with the whole board, and the ones that are here will help me as well, but we'll go back to planning commission and we'll start drafting and getting some stuff going. And then we'll once we have a draft that we're feeling comfortable with, we'll bring that back to you guys. I'm not sure if that'll be another joint meeting or just, I'm not sure how that'll look exactly, but we'll bring it back and say, okay, this is where we're at right now. Is this kind of what you were envisioning? Are we missing things? Any feedback? And then we'll go back to planning to really finalize it and work out all of the details and the nitty gritty.
So what
Before it comes to you for adoption.
what is it you think planning commission will eventually present? Will it be like a working document?
So I think any plan that we do would be a working document and something that they will review probably with their master plan on an annual basis and say, okay, what have we done? What are we going to work on this upcoming year? And kind of use it as a guide and a resource for us. But it would be nice to get to a point that we say, okay, this is comfortable with what we have, and then just make tweaks as we go and as we progress through the plan.
And there aren't a ton of communities who have, in Michigan anyway, who have their plans accessible on their websites. So I sent out a message to the listserv through MML and got crickets. Normally I can, and Danielle, I don't know if any of you are on the listserv. You know, you get stuff about, what do what'd you do for pay raises this year for your employees? We're doing a sewer project, and you get all kinds of answers. On this, I got crickets, so. I did look at Ann Arbor's, and of course Ann Arbor's is very ambitious and totally different than, in many ways, and what we could do here, but I think this is a good basis. And being on planning commission, I know we've talked about it, and we really just want some leader or some guidance from council on what we're envisioning council wise, and then planning commission can run with it.
Is this something the CEDM fund could potentially help codify?
Absolutely, yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I found that the document that you sent us, the planning for community resilience in Michigan, very helpful. That gives a variety of scenarios from many different townships, large and small. So that may help. Give an example. I was reading it last night, late last night.
And that means it's fresh on your mind.
But they give all kinds of processes and tools to use. So, and I just found that variety of villages throughout Michigan were helpful scenarios.
Trying to pull it, because I don't think I put that in this packet.
It was
For them, Diane.
yeah.
I was trying to link, because there was so much I didn't want to
Right.
tonight and completely overwhelm everybody. So I know you guys got quite a bit more than I provided in the packet.
Was that in the stuff that I sent?
Yeah, it was, Jerry.
And then I just have a question out of curiosity, and I'm very much for sustainability. And I've been involved with other groups who are very committed to this, and they've studied it for years. So I'd like to know a little bit more about, from the council and maybe others, where does our commitment come from? It's like, to me, it just seems like it's popping up now. So what's the dedication to it? What's the commitment behind it? Why do we want this for Blissfield? I mean, it's obvious in many ways, but I think in order to get something going, we really have to have a level of commitment to sustain it over the long run.
Sure, and I think measured commitment from your elected officials is an excellent starting point, and also a great platform to broadcast it and to bring others in, such as groups that have already pre-studied, individuals like Frank Baker, who are out there, boots on the ground with the movement, the planning commission. So I don't think there's any one driver taking this off. I know this is something where I grew up was common practice, and larger communities that I've lived in. I think it's just something that's sort of, I hate to use the term trickle down effect, but it's finally making its way to smaller communities like ourselves. And when budgets begin to tighten, you start to look at things in a myriad of ways, and sustainable ways create budgetary windfalls rather than shortfalls. So I think it's a combination of a lot of what's happening, plus a lot of new technologies are new industries are opening up for sustainability. It's a massive growth industry I see from the business side. So I think it's a multitude of those things working in combination with probably grassroots level getting organized and getting a voice and getting heard in state capitals. So yeah, there's a lot of groundswell movement for stuff like this.
And it's even going so far as to making sure you're buying as much as you can locally, help support the local economy. And I think from the village, I mean, obviously there are some things we can't get locally, but when you look at our bills, there's, you know, we use Gilroy's a lot. We use, you know, a lot of local businesses for screen printing and that sort of stuff. So. But it's also things like making sure our stormwater runoff is, you know, we're handling that the best we can. So it's really just a variety of components that come together under the umbrella of sustainability.
I think it's something that we've been doing, but not realizing that was the vocabulary to use with it. Does that make sense? So the kind of I think the board, the village has been conscientious on certainly water, you know, what's going on in the village throughout the different realms, just not realizing that was some of the terminology with it. And so I think with that terminology, that's going to lend itself to having more of a focus, perhaps.
And part of it is being a community that's ready. So brownfield redevelopment, being a part of Michigan redevelopment readiness community, which we're working on. So it's all these little components that we've already been had our hands in and working on, that we're just trying to bring together under
I think it's
a more cohesive plan, I think.
Pieces in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully something like this lends some authority to it. So we can, I'm not going to use the word impose, but sort of encourage, yeah.
How to sell it so that it will be beneficial to the residents in Blissfield, right? I don't know if sell's the right word.
All right, so we just want to run through this list.
Which list do you want, Jerry? Do you want to go through the one that starts there with the?
Well, so I think we're gonna go through the big list, right?
Big list, right?
Through.
Yeah,
through
it's up to you
Eagle.
guys, really.
This one, they have a deadline of May 1st, so I think
And I'm submitting this one regardless of what we do tonight, because
just to
they,
see.
right, to see, and because then they'll help us with
You say
it moving forward. To Michigan Green Communities.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So they have a challenge every year.
Oh, this is-
And if you submit to the challenge,
Yes.
it doesn't mean you have to have everything in place. But then that opens up the door for conferences that they put on, resources for funding.
Okay.
And they'll help us.
Mhm.
They'll help us along the way. So they're, like I said, in a partnership with Eagle. And the lady that we're working with is also named Danielle, so that's been fun trying to keep emails straight.
Go ahead.
There are people who are retired in our community who have skills. And to go and ask them to go and come and help in certain projects that their skills are in, or even that they might want to go and participate in, and then give a benefit for those people. Like I know a person who is retired from being a mason, who could probably help veneer some of the brickwork around here at his own pace. And I'm just a person of all trades myself, from farming to working at a factory and driving a school bus. So I like to be part of the community and try and be in harmony with it.
Thank you. All right, so who, you want to read these off, Gary? You want to take the lead?
I guess so. All right. So we're on the Eagle one, the community sustainability self-assessment. The first one is, does the municipal website list available commercial properties?
No.
It does not,
And
no.
we want it to.
I thought there was something yes, with our fellows, that was something that we talked about with the.
Yeah, so they were going to do a business inventory. We weren't necessarily going to list them on the website, but with that project, it would be easy to
It
do
would lend
that.
itself.
And it would help us kind of in the future do that.
Isn't that part of the chamber of commerce type of stuff too? Where those businesses are listed in there?
This DDA doesn't have a listing either.
No, that's one of the fellows is going to have we're gonna have them work on an entire contact. So even if it's not available right now, with some basic information, so that in the event it becomes available, then we can go to our form and say, okay, this was built in 1960, it's made of brick, it has the whatever 2,200 square foot, the contact person is John Smith, just some basic information. We want everything, but that way if people come to us looking to open up a retail or any commercial space, we have some general information to help them. Like what size water tap is there, things like that.
How many units?
Yeah. Whatever would be beneficial to them knowing before going into business or purchasing it.
All right, is the process for potential business owners to purchase or rent space for their business clearly described through an accessible platform? Not that I know of.
No, but for the future, we probably want that to be a yes.
So I'm marking mine in process, yes or no, both of those will be. Is the process for potential business owners to acquire a business license clearly described through an accessible platform?
So we don't currently require business licenses unless they're transient. Merchant, like somebody that's coming from outside the community to sell or do something here.
What about food truck?
So that would be a transient, they would come pull a license for that, but if you're, if you own a business downtown or within the community, you're not required to right now. So I would say that's a maybe not have, right?
All right, does the municipality actively promote the benefits of locating a business within its jurisdiction?
We do this. In fact, Laura just spent a lot of time updating a folder. If you guys haven't seen it, it's awesome. With a bunch of information and benefits and resources. So I do think we're doing this already.
All right, does the municipality work with local business owners to identify opportunities for expansion? DDA does that. Are there local institutions that actively work to foster a collaborative business community?
Yes.
Does the community have a business incubator to support startups? Well, through Lenawee now, do we not have one?
Yeah, but I wouldn't consider that.
Yeah, I don't think it's,
So I'm gonna put it.
because it's typically like a low rent
Right.
storefront where you can start off or,
Buying space.
Yeah.
No, this isn't something we're gonna be able
yeah,
to. No.
So no. All right, housing affordability. Has the municipality identified the number of residents that are rent burdened?
no.
I don't think we ever have done that.
That's been the,
I was trying to think if it was in the master plan.
yeah,
It
it's
is,
about 20% of the
Okay.
residents are rent.
but I was trying to
Good
remember.
catch, Diane.
Pardon me?
Good catch.
Well, it kind of bothered me that it was that high.
How would it, not trying to be smart, do we know how that was surveyed or how that was done?
It was.
It was done by, it's in the master, that's what I was trying to remember too, the master plan that's been done by McKenna. And they cite their sources on there. I'd have to go back, but they have some resource that it tracks like different races, education, rent, there's a whole ton of stuff in there.
Okay, so we can say yes on this.
Do we want to add that to our plan? Well, we'll have it in the master plan, so it'll be part of it. Does the municipality have a program in place that addresses housing affordability?
No, but we could say this is in progress because we did
We did.
partner with Lenawee One and Lenawee Community Foundation, who's doing that housing study. And moving forward on that, so. And that will give specific information to Blissfield.
When is it supposed to be done? That was like a year ago.
Yeah, they're saying it's taking quite a long time. I actually talked to them a couple weeks ago and they were still making some progress. They had set a meeting for us to attend, but I can't recall the date. I can send it to you guys as well.
Good. 2.3, are there housing units that are subsidized? Are these units located in places near a diverse range of amenities like groceries, pharmacies, schools, public transportation, etc.? So is Joy Street already subsidized?
I can put don't know, and is that something we want to include or?
I don't think Villager is.
I
it's
think
just
those
Joy Street.
Riverview or whatever they are.
Joy Street, yeah, Riverview Apartments, I think,
Yeah.
is something like subsidized parts.
I think Joy Street is too.
The same thing.
I'm pretty sure it is.
But they're not close to. Not close to any amenities, I mean,
I mean,
Let's let 'em
it's not that big.
As localized they are, but
right,
by the street they're not.
Right.
so what are we marking now?
I would say this whole community is walkable, so.
Yeah.
2.4, does the master plan, zoning ordinance, or other municipal plan, regulation, or program call for incentivizing or regulations for developments to include affordable affordable housing options.
Not currently.
Do we want to? No, I'm getting
No,
one.
because who's gonna fund us? We don't have
Yeah, we
money
have-
for that.
Yeah,
2.5 is yes.
2.5 is yes, with the master plan addressing missing middle zone.
Stop it.
2.6, does the zoning ordinance allow for a wide range of housing types?
Yes, this was an RRC thing.
Can manufactured housing be cited within the community? Yes. If manufactured housing is allowed in the zoning ordinance, is it cited near amenities such as schools, grocery store? Yes, it is.
What did you guys say for 2.5 and 2.6? I'm sorry.
Yes. Benchmark, does the municipality have a diverse, so we're on job market diversity. Does the municipality have a diverse range of industries representing its workforce?
she answered yes to this. Manufacturing, yes. Retail, yes. Education, we do have daycares. Health, we have a number of dental plus pharmaceutical plus.
Yoga.
I would say we have a lot more people that leave town to work and stay in town.
Yeah, well, we also have finance. So other than entertainment and technology, we can check a lot of those boxes. Now the question is, how do you read it representing its workforce? How much of the workforce stays in town?
Right. That was in the master plan too.
It was, yeah, there was a pretty good portion
Yeah.
that leaves.
Yeah, a significant majority. Can't remember what it was right off the top of my head.
So yes,
I want
it
to say
should
it's like
improve.
70%.
Yes, but yes,
Yes,
that's what should improve.
yes, but should improve.
All right, 3.2, has community conducted a location quotient analysis to identify its economic base or bases, and is the community working to grow its import sectors?
We do done numerous of those, yeah.
Does DDA do those?
Oh, geez, we've done, like high up home plans, we've done a couple other plans that sort of address our market, we've got like the Adrian Jackson, sort of. You got this local market, and then you got the surrounding market, so we have them planned, we have the plans, they're just on shelves like many of the other things that we've paid for or had done, and it's how much do we utilize them is the question.
When was the last time we've done one of those? Do you remember?
It's probably been 5-7 years, at least.
So yes, improve.
Yeah,
Would it be worth digging those out and seeing if they're still relevant? 3.3, has the community identified which industry sectors or subsectors make it unique so that it can expand its economy around these businesses? Agribusiness.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think we've actually ever.
the tourism, obviously, industry kind of took a hit with the dinner train not running, but we're talking about the ag museum, you're talking about, people still come downtown to shop, and the sort of historical idea of, the antiques and that sort of stuff, and Hathaway House and whatnot. So, I mean, we kind of see us as a destination or a day trip. So there's that sort of niche.
Is that something we want to?
I think what Mike's alluding to is like, it's sort of known, but have we truly identify it so that we can work to expand it. So I would say yes, but it should improve.
Everybody else good with it? All right, 3.4 is community adopted plans that specify goals, objectives, and action steps for increasing the diversity of industries in the local economy. Community should have clearly defined steps for achieving a diverse job market. This should include overarching goals, achievable objectives, policy options, and initiatives. I don't think we've
No, that's
done
not.
that. Is it something we want to work on?
The beginning.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand with economic development myself.
I agree.
Yeah, well, if you read down, everything here is either yes, but needs improvement or a no, so I think the whole page sort of needs a
Yes.
a hard look and some input.
Okay. Does the government with businesses, community to identify gaps in employment? So we don't really do that, do we?
No, we pay, Lenawee now to do those studies on that, and they reported numerous times, you know, they've come in and talked about lack of skills or lack of, you know, people going into trades or, you know, the jobs are there, it's just, we don't have the people to fill them, so we know that there is a challenge.
Right. All right. So job training and workforce readiness. 4.1 are high school graduates in the community finding employment upon graduation, attending college, completing vocational training. Anybody else got anything on that? Our local educational institutions such as public schools and community colleges working with employers to identify market-driven skills. They're not aware.
That's a don't know for me.
Is job training available for workers shifting to a new industry? Not through us, but through Michigan Works.
Well, Runaway Now has got that new program too, where they're doing the skills. They partnered with the college. I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. It's fairly new. So I think this is things that are out there, but I don't know that we would do it at our level. I think that's something we work with our partners on.
But because we contribute to Lenawee Now, can we piggyback off of their services? I mean, that'd be a good thing to find out. Would Lenawee Now be sort of like a sub or a peer that we could merge our platform with theirs for a number of these issues?
They're almost like a subcontractor for us.
Yeah, I absolutely think they would. I mean, that's their whole kind of mission is
Right.
to be partners to the community to help with these things.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd have to obviously have conversations about the details of that, but
So I'm just wondering if we should identify Lenawee Now as while we're going through this.
really that whole page probably.
Yeah,
Job training and workforce readiness.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is probably Runaway Now.
What about the previous page, job market diversity?
Yeah.
That makes sense, yeah.
Just so that like at community, we don't want to duplicate efforts that are being done just up the road that are encompassing our village. Like there's no reason to begin developing anything if they're already offered the program. So in your little
Legend down at the bottom.
I got
A lead one. Or a lead
it right
line.
now. So are we good with 4.5 and 4.6? Just.
One right now.
Yeah.
Then educational opportunities, are there lifelong educational opportunities in the community or region? I think there are,
Oh, yes, absolutely.
definitely. You've got 3 colleges, a tech center. Are there?
We have
public-
major universities within 45 minutes.
Right,
World class.
are there
Go
public?
Falcons.
Are there public education opportunities and or events offered on a regular basis? Providing free or low cost education programming can help create an engaged, informed and collaborative community.
The tech center offers.
They do some of the,
Like the magazines that they offer different, like short-term classes, 2-3 month classes, they're pretty affordable, but I'm not sure how much that qualifies.
Are we referring to Blissfield or Little County?
I was,
Exactly. and
I was curious on that as
that's
well. Mhm. We talked about Blissfield, now some we're talking Lenawee County. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know of anything that takes place in town other than
Some library program.
library programs, yeah. Bob does a pretty good job down there keeping programming hopping right along.
The senior center used to, do they still?
I don't know, there'd be something for us to find out.
We do guided tours. Hey, it lists that.
Education, right?
It's educational.
Let's put a question mark down.
Yeah, I think the library does a good job.
Yeah, historical society.
Do residents have access to local funding opportunities to pay for advanced education?
That's a no.
The school has a couple.
They're very minor scholarships. They're minor scholarships.
Are there any workshops? Or grade?
Well, there's a tech center. I know they offer a number.
Blissfield.
I don't believe so.
I couldn't tell what the school offers. I do know a lot of our students do go up to the tech center. And get on-site training there and then go into grades.
I have a silly scenario. Would you be interested in getting like 40% of the electricity from solar panels that is consumed in the community? Then what you do is you have the school rearrange its education to go and supplement hands-on working to go and maintain and also to construct those. It's not a short-term project, but more like a long-term.
Yeah, that would be something you should take to the board, the education board.
But that would be also involve the village.
So there's a pretty defined separation between the school systems, schools.
Well,
and
then
us.
start in the school, see how it works there.
Well, that's why I said take it to the Board of Education, they might be interested. All right. Do we get 5-4?
No, not yet. Does the community record the annual high school graduation rate to better understand this trend over time?
The school.
School does, so we can get that from the school.
You get tired, Jerry, let me know if people.
I'm good. I used to talk to the living Jake. Many years ago. All right, poverty. Does the municipality regularly identify areas of concentrated poverty in order to more effectively target available resources? I think
With
that's
the
in our,
water, the water resource, I'll pay for bills, would that count?
So, yeah, I don't think, if you, I kind of was reading this whole page while you guys were talking, I don't think the village is doing any of these things. But I guess my question is, I think this would maybe be another partnership opportunity. I don't know that we have the staff or the ability to do this in-house at all.
I have a lot, we're not gonna be able to do a lot of this
But
stuff.
I would of course defer to you guys.
Partnering.
Yeah, I think this could be a partnership, but not in-house.
and we really don't,
Yeah.
and maybe we're getting a little off track. Like I said at the beginning, we don't have to do all of this. We're trying to figure out
Yeah.
a plan that
And
works
property-
best for
This is
Blissfield.
nice, but I don't think this is realistic.
So we can just say no to this
Can we?
section. We don't
And I would
have to
say no
have
to
this.
section. Yeah, I'd say no to some of those other sections too.
I agree.
Do we want to revisit those other sections?
Not
No,
necessarily, let's just go forward, but if poverty, I mean, the poverty, I understand.
no, because if you think about local business attraction, housing.
Yeah.
And job market, education, that's current, those things are current issues. That we're facing, right? So this poverty is, could be current, but I don't think that's ever gonna be a village.
It's beyond something that we could do.
Right.
That's how I'm looking at
Yeah,
that.
that, you know, just going back to that red version that I read in that capital report. And I was concerned about that, so I asked for the median salaries, income levels, and McKenna did provide that with us, and I can't remember the numbers, but it kind of wasn't very high.
I would say 48 or so. I was thinking 46 in my brain.
So I don't know if that tells us that there are more people than we know of that are poor. I don't know. Or I guess you would, the water bills, I think you mentioned, I don't know if that's a way of. How many people are on payment plans? I don't know if that's an accurate way to know.
So we're gonna set that one aside.
which one's that, poverty?
Poverty.
I think it's just in all the way through.
Mhm.
Local food system. Does the master plan address food security? I don't believe it does.
No, it does not.
Is that something we want to look at for next time?
I don't know how. I don't know how we would do that.
Have a community garden.
Well,
That's actually further down in these
Oh, okay.
questions. If we,
at one point, DDA was looking at purchasing the Coach Light Plaza. Right, if you recall,
Right.
and one of the arguments was food insecurity. If orchards or someone doesn't operate, what happens to this community? It doesn't become a food desert. So one of the arguments for the DDA to purchase it and rehab it was to ensure that there is
The grocery
a
store?
grocer.
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of people that don't leave town to.
Yeah.
so I think if you continue down, there's some specific ways like the farmers to sell their products locally. So we don't have this now, but there's been discussion of doing a farmers market event with our downtown. So I think that's a no, yes. And then ties back to number one. And then if you go down a little bit more, like 7.4, are there ordinances that support community gardening? I think that could be a no, yes, and that again would achieve number one. And then does the community 7.5 have programs in place to keep locally grown food and local dollars spent on food in the local economy? No, yes, all three of those address number one. If you guys agree.
Yeah, and there are already farmers selling their products locally. There's always, in the summertime over here at the church parking lot, guys out, and if we do something downtown, a farmer's market, I
That's
think
what's
that's
down the road.
even. If that's even better. We talked about maybe developing a community garden down at the park. Did we not?
Yes.
In the back. In the back by the pool.
Yeah, and Parks and Rec has even recently talked about that in some of their planning. Yeah.
All right. So local food system continue. There are farmers markets or locally sourced food stores, restaurants in the community. Does the master,
So this 7.7, I think that's a big one.
does the master plan promote the preservation of high quality farmland?
Yes. It does,
Does it?
yes. The new one that's not yet adopted does.
Okay.
The stuff that's within the village, the farmland that's within the village.
Well. In the community, what's
Yeah,
that?
it talks about
No, it's within the village.
Oh,
how,
is it?
Yes.
yeah, it talks about the importance of agriculture to the community and our need for it, but it does specifically, it's focused on our boundaries, but it does talk about it in several spots, actually.
Surrounding townships definitely feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Has the municipality identified its food deserts in order to plan or improve food security in those neighborhoods? I think we talked about that. All right,
That's yes on all three of the information.
information, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Thank you, Danielle. I take it you've already gone through all of this. Makes it easier. What about regional cooperation? Does municipality update its plans in consideration of nearby municipalities' plans for future development?
No, we are part of Region 2 planning but we don't have like a shared plan. So I'm saying no, but I actually think that could be a yes too. I don't think it makes sense to have a shared plan, but we do partner with. In a lot of Region 2 planning, we do like the watershed as a partnership. So I don't know.
We do share it with them for input, not that we have to follow, but it is provided.
Yes, on
all those?
Yeah.
So how are we marking this?
I guess I would say yes, actually.
What about sharing of services with other local governments?
Just
Yes. Does the municipality work with neighboring communities to plan or build natural features that extend across borders, roads, forests, commercial corridors?
no,
Do we want to?
yes,
No, yes.
No, yes.
Oh, yes. Leveraging funding from state and federal governments. Do we regularly seek state and federal grant opportunities for local projects?
I would say yes, improving
Mhm.
or needs improvement.
Okay.
And then I would say yes on the.
Mhm.
field.
Community branding and marketing. A long way to go, don't we?
What number are you on now?
11.1,
Okay, thank you.
which is page, well, if you look in the bottom right corner, page 20.
Yep, I got it, thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, sorry.
Does the community have a website? Yes. Does the community have a distinguished brand that is easily recognizable? Yes. This community identified its assets that create a unique sense of place.
Yes.
The river. Does the municipality actively market its local assets outside of the community?
Yes.
Is there wayfinding in the community that directs residents and visitors to natural and cultural amenities?
No, yes.
No, yes.
We do, it's just obsolete.
We can't read
Yeah.
it. Do we implement a consistent theme into our infrastructure that represents a local identity? I think we do. Do we use TV, social media?
Yes.
Yes. Are the main routes and gateways into the community targeted for aesthetic improvements, beautification, landscaping, design standards?
Yes, but needs improvement.
Honestly, they got somebody working on that now, right?
I don't know. Infill and redevelopment, 12.1. Does the master plan identify priority sites for redevelopment?
Yes.
Has community identified, inventoried, and prioritized brownfield sites for redevelopment?
No, that's a,
No, yes.
yeah, because it's something we have on our to-do list, but
We know of a couple of them. So we've identified them. Does the municipality work with a brownfield redevelopment authority or land bank to help redevelop abandoned parcels?
yes,
Do we promote
Yes.
redevelopment?
yes, we do.
We don't have any. though.
We don't have
any
any,
in the land
no,
bank
but-
or-
Even since I've been here, I've talked to Brownfield and just recently talked to the land bank, so we do work with them, we just don't have any active.
Do we promote redevelopment in the master plan as an alternative to greenfield redevelopment?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to
We
look at the
do.
plan, and I don't know that it does.
I have a question about the master plan.
Mhm.
There have been a number of master plans throughout the year. What's the latest one?
So the reason this is so fresh, we're actually working on our revision, which will hopefully is scheduled to come to council for adoption in May or June of this year. So when we're saying yes, it's because the planning commission has been working on this for a couple of years now. So we're in the final stages and just prioritizing our goals. So we're saying yes in the new adopted plan, which will be good through 2040.
And how does that master plan become a working document? I heard someone before said, oh yeah, we've got a lot of those on the shelves. And you know, that's what often happens to master plans. You look at it, it gets shelved, and then something comes up and a decision is made that is contrary to what the master plan may have been, you know, calling for 3 years ago or 5 years ago or something. So is there a person who is at all times kind of sitting on top of the master plan and trying to make it mesh with what's going on?
Yes, so there's actually a couple people on the staff level that will do that. And in fact, we recently created a staff report so that when things come to planning commission, they every time are getting the same basic information. They've only seen it, I think, once or twice now, but one of those questions, so that staff doesn't forget, is does it align with the master plan? The other part of that is the planning commission, they've revised their bylaws and have started doing annual reports, and every year they will review the master plan and go through and say, okay, these are objectives that we either completed or in progress. And we'll update that annually so that we don't lose sight of it. Or in the event that something does change that was 3 years old, we can say, oh, this doesn't really apply anymore. We need to remove this or change it or whatever we need to do.
I would totally agree. That's a great question because I thought the same thing. We have these plans, but who makes sure that we follow the plans? Because like you said, 3 years down the road, we do something contradictory to the plan. I will say this, that I truly believe that with Danielle on board on this portion of it, she she's very good on her calendar wise and double checking. Follow this and to make that merge like it's supposed to be and things are being followed through. I don't think they have been in the past. I think it's very evident, but I do see things happening with Danielle annually. So many things have been happening since she's been here that this is kind of almost like a checks and balance, if you will. And that's kind of what the master plan should be is, are we following it? Check and balance, check and balance. Is it still relevant? Is it not? And that is being done now.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Which gives hope.
Good.
Yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
any other plan that we have, like if we do this sustainability plan, or when we do it, it should be really like an addendum to our master plan. They should be aligned and match each other too. So that'll be the other thing that when the planning commission looks at the master plan, we're gonna say, okay, we also have these addendums. What else do we need to look at?
Anything more on infill and redevelopment?
What was that last one that we decided? Or did we not?
I don't know. I'll look at that.
Have we evaluated our development standards to identify ways to make it easier for developers to improve blighted or underutilized spaces? This is 12.5.
So I think this is in progress through the master plan and the RRC. They're kind of together on that. So I don't know that we have yet, but it's part of our to-do list.
Are new developments designed for future adaptation to accommodate a range of uses? Communities are constantly changing as technology, culture, and living preferences change. Buildings are designed for adaptability, can help to reduce the costs for redevelopment later on. I don't think
We
we
don't have development.
Doing new developments.
are blighted properties in the community identified and mapped.
No,
Jackie says they need to be.
We should be doing that, yes, I agree.
Exactly. I know. You see it every day. I do.
No, yes.
To improve. Are new developments in the community designed for deconstruction and material reuse? No.
No, but that's not, I think we're on to.
Recreation opportunities.
Yeah.
Can y'all do it on to this?
they did some of it, yeah.
I think 13.1, do we have a wide range of
Yes.
residents have access? Yes, to recreational.
I should say yes to and improving, you could say too, because we are always improving. 13.3 is a yes, and they're even working on revising that. 13.4 is a yes. I guess 13.5 and 13.3, they do have a master plan, again, working on that.
Okay. Do we seek a wide range of public input from residents to help inform
Oh, yeah.
recreation planning?
Yeah, I
Yes.
definitely think we've done that lately.
Yeah, I guess it's all the way down.
All right, does the community review its
Yes.
safety plans? Yes. Do we engage in discussions with residents to identify gaps in emergency response protocols?
We don't work with our residents on that, but I don't know that that would be appropriate either. And then we've not mapped this, but we do have for 14.3. We've done that, but they're just not mapped.
So we know where they're at.
Yes,
Okay. So I'm gonna put yes, not mapped.
and then 14.4 is yes.
Have we implemented crime prevention through environmental design principles?
I think we've done some of that, because like the lighting is part of that, but I don't know to what extent.
All right, For public safety and crime prevention.
We don't map them, but we do track them.
Correct, not mapped. All right, is there a system in place for residents to report non-emergency violations? Yes. Are local ordinances enforced? Need to improve.
Yeah, I would say improve. And then yes, to 14.9.
Historic preservation, 15.1. We created an inventory of historic structures or sites within the community.
A district.
Yes, we have, correct.
This, has the municipality adopted a historic preservation plan? No.
I don't think we have a plan. But 3 is yes. Well,
Have we adopted zoning and design regulations that support preservation of historically significant buildings?
Like, much like our facade grants, you know, you've got the historic district versus the outlying district, the DDA district, and there are different requirements and different things that, you know, if you want the windows or the facades or whatever in the historic district, you need to follow the historic standards, the national historic standard.
Are those in our zoning though?
Not going,
I don't think so. Is that something we want to put in the zoning?
it's a slippery slope. You have the, you know, how do we preserve, but also not overbear, you know, again, money's always the factor, and then you got a lot of mentality here, of, don't tell me what to do with my property, and that, I mean, rightfully so, I get it too, so it's how do you tread lightly, and how much does the community willing to give you in that control?
Right. So. No one, no, so no on 15.3, or yes. Or no, yes, or yes, no,
Well, we haven't
because we did
adopted
nothing.
anything to the zone, so that's
Not
fine.
its own.
Right. All right, and we partnered with nonprofit, for-profit organizations to fund programming that celebrates and takes advantage of the economic value of historic assets in the community.
I don't know. I mean, we would. I don't.
Well, Historical Society has done stuff.
I was just gonna say the home tours at Christmas time, I
Yeah.
don't know if any did that, or
Right.
that.
And they're working on the sesquicentennial or bicentennial. And he's working on things, so that's a partnership. Let's see this.
And then 15.5 is
Yeah.
yes.
Well, let's. Arts and culture. Does the municipality provide support to artists for public art projects such as murals and displays?
Yes, need some.
All right, do we provide support for arts programming or cultural tourism?
Well, I think that is just getting started here, so yes, but needs improvement or work in progress. Probably web.
All right, art classes and programs part of the curriculum in the schools?
Yes.
Does the community include art in public spaces? We've got it.
We do.
There is a store.
Yes, and we have some stuff up by 23 and.
There's those big sculptures that are in several places around town.
Do we host cultural events that attract a diverse range of residents and visitors?
We did. With the Bluegrass Festival stuff. I don't think anything else we host would be cultural.
Are art venues or other cultural sites accessible to low-income individuals?
Either don't know or not, but.
You going with no
I'm giving up.
or question mark? Can local artists afford market rate housing or workshops in the community? If not, does the community have a program in place? We have a local artist does have a workshop in the community.
Yeah, and I would say if an artist or artists are looking for a storefront, a building, this would be an affordable
Location for it. Yeah.
compared to an Ann Arbor or Sylvania. This would be a much better jumping off point for you.
There are a variety of cultural sites and or art displays in the community. Yes.
You think so? I don't know, cultural sites.
Art should be spread throughout the community rather than in a concentrated area. Yeah, maybe not. It's more down.
Cemetery,
Needs
Pardon me?
improvement.
the cemetery.
There's art in the cemetery. But that's
There's a beautiful sculpture.
There's this,
oh, yes, the Ellis sculpture.
It needs to get moved. You just have to find the Ellis family to get permission.
You're right. Yes, I forgot about that one.
are you still working on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough one.
All right, transportation options. Can residents, this is 17-1, can residents safely access key community locations such as grocery stores, schools, parks, and using non-motorized transportation?
Yes.
I think so, yes. Are sidewalks, widened shoulders, or other multi-use? Yes. For mixed-use developments.
17.4 is no, and I don't know if you guys want to do that or not.
Is a municipality conducted a review of household income and expenditures to assess how many residents are spending more than 15?
I'd say no and no.
No.
And then 17.5 is yes. 17.6 is probably no and no.
Well, we don't have public transport.
Yeah.
I think we're all ADA compliant.
Yes.
All of our signs.
Yeah, and if there anything like when we upgrade it, we do ADA as well.
If we conducted a traffic study, traffic count or access management review in the past 5 years.
I have personally, when I moved downtown, I was told about all the traffic.
Right?
I've conducted my own study.
And when you return.
No traffic. There's just no traffic.
And that does that for us, but for 3 times we've asked here and there for traffic counts, and we've looked into, the road diet potential. So I would say yes, but probably needs improvement. Again, 223 is a constant struggle for us.
I don't know when the last one was done.
It's been a while.
Yes.
Have we,
17.9 would be a good yes because of all the comments that we don't have enough parking.
has the community conducted a transportation demand analysis?
Before we depart with it, I think we've asked the downtown business what they're thinking about that.
Well, you would do like a survey.
Yes, before we take 2 spots out of downtown, I'd like to see what people think.
Oh,
The perception. What
they're taking out, right, but.
Well, this so part of the, yeah, DDA will bring it to the board.
Oh, boy. They already lost some spots.
All right, public outreach.
We'll go on. They lost spots about 2 years ago, right, Mike?
Yeah, they rearranged, change the angle of the parking out there.
Okay, keep going.
All right, do we use various public engagement strategies throughout the planning process?
Yes.
Yes, I think we do.
Yes, for all of these.
Yes. Yes, thank you, Danielle. I gotta mark them down though, because when I go to planning. All right, social equity. Does master plan address social equity? Wow, transportation, land use, recreation, and food and there's security are all directly related, social equity. Do we specifically include social? I don't think
Not applicable. I don't think it's not, we're not gonna use it on it. It doesn't. Technically qualify for it.
so all of these.
Yeah, I take it, you can find that on each page. 20, yes.
Sorry, 19's all you have to do.
Aging in place.
Yeah, it's been looking for on
Yes.
South Street.
Have local officials facilitate conversations of the population of 65 plus to discuss barriers to and opportunities from comfortable living. So, at least.
So again, this is, for something our size, it sort of gets outside our scope. This is what something like the senior center would. We try to partner with them and
Right.
help create a program through their leadership.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That we're
Yep.
doing that for partnership with that.
Yeah.
Because for us doing that, just so
No.
that's crazy. to
No.
me.
We do have resources on our website for all of these things, it's just not done by us. So if there's a. Also, if you go to the website, like other websites or other links, there's a whole section for. Like senior resources with, I think, 5 or 6 different pages. So we could probably answer yes to most of that, it's just not us facilitating. it.
Exactly, that's the difference. Okay.
Or yes, through partnership.
Yeah,
What about 21.4?
we actually do a lot for that. In our zoning ordinance currently.
That's what I thought. Any other things in it? Nope. Children in the planning process. Are residents under age 18 included in the planning process?
Yes, we have a youth member on our DDA board. And some youth volunteers. Rotary Scott, I know they're not the village, but, and then we also,
Andrew in Parks Correct.
yeah, Andrew would be another one on Parks and Rec. Plus, we work with the schools a lot as well. I would say yes, all 3 of these.
Yeah. Design standards. Do we include design standards in the zoning ordinance related to facades, materials used and other structural features?
No, the zoning ordinance does not.
Just DDA? Or does DDA not even
Well,
require it for downtown?
they don't have design standards that I know of. I mean, they help with like facades and stuff like that, but they don't have a standard. Is that something that we want?
That's that slippery slope. I think what you're
Yeah,
referring to.
well, I think the intent of like I think what we did when we updated the last version of the facade grant program was if you're in the historic district. And you want to qualify for those funds, you know, you can kind of do what you want, but you're gonna pay for it yourself. If you want to totally change it up, but if you want to embrace what was historical or try to fix what's historical, that's the kind of stuff that will help incentivize and pay for it.
Which makes
So
sense, yeah.
it's sort of you have the choice to do it, but. Get the benefit of having the assistance from the village.
Yeah.
If you recreate, repurpose.
And that's only in the historical district, not
Correct.
downtown.
Right.
So does that mean that because there is nothing in the zoning ordinance, that someone could come in, buy a building?
Yeah.
Board up the windows. Paint graffiti on it and leave it rot?
Yeah.
Well, it's
Well, no, we
common
have
sense that
blight.
there would be some
Yeah, I
type.
think that's getting into blight though. And property maintenance.
Well, but
I
you're
mean, they
okay.
could come paint it purple, that you can.
And that's more of the scary thing, if they board up a beautiful historic storefront and put the metal awning or something or metal facade over it and cover up everything that is historically there. And yes, we don't have a say in that, you're right, it's a challenge.
Well, that happened next door.
Exactly.
If you look at the township offices, the building in between there and here. All had one seamless storefront that looked like a township. Now fortunately, it's been torn off the front of It Takes a Village. But the township office still has a fake facade covering a historical building front.
So isn't it, I mean, without being dictatorial, it would seem as though there could be a basic standard. And that there would be some type of review board, not to necessarily deny, but to advise.
Absolutely, because in order to have the nationally registered historic district, you have to have so many contributing structures. And if you allow those, it become less than 50% or whatever of those contributing structures that were there when we became the historic district, then we lose that designation. So yes, there needs to be, I would like to see a little bit more control.
Yes.
It's just what's the pushback from the property owners, the business owners,
Why would,
That's the
I mean,
struggle.
I know why there would be pushback, but there's no good reason for pushback. Because anything that makes the entire downtown more appealing enhances every business.
Right.
And improves, the quality and the foot traffic of every business. So other than I'm an individual and I've got my rights, what are they saying? What leg do they have to stand on?
not much. The only other consideration I would take into account would be obviously financing and, owning a building downtown in the past, there's things that you want to do, but financially, you just can't do it. You can have all the ideas in the world, but until you have the capital or the financing to do it, sometimes you can't. So it's tough. You don't want blight, you don't want things to become disrepair, but some people can only afford to barely keep the doors open, let alone maintain their building or do that sort of thing. So it's how do we reach out? How do we find other sources? How do we help bring in other revenues for them to maintain those properties and rehab them rather than just do it on their own.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate that, and I understand what you're saying, but if someone is buying paint to paint the building, they're buying paint.
Right, yeah,
And the difference between buying purple paint
exactly.
and another
And that's what
paint.
we don't want to see is.
So I think any type of facade improvement should be subject to at least some
Some sort of standards.
review, and there
Oh,
should be
yeah.
a standard.
I think it should also be, almost go as far as to say is the type of businesses that can be in the downtown area. I do believe that, that's my personal belief. I think that too much commercial in a downtown area are service oriented in a downtown area. It needs to have that nice mix of your food, your retail, as well as your other commercial type of a thing. And I think sometimes I don't want our village to go to where it's all service industries downtown, because that's not what that's not, in my opinion, that is not a vibrant downtown, what I picture downtown and a historic downtown as. Does that make sense?
Yeah, except right now, I would say anything that brings people, puts them in a parking place at some point, because if it gets to a point where people really want the space for retail or commercial, they'll go after it.
The market dictates.
Yeah, the market will dictate. But right now, better
We're
to
not
have
there.
Transcend Bailey's than nothing.
Right.
But I understand.
No, I understand, I exactly hear where you're coming from. I personally like a flower shop. I personally like retail. I personally like that ambiance of a downtown.
Go ahead, Art.
No, I forgot what I was gonna say.
I've cut you off 4 times, so there's nothing I can do about that.
She cut me off like this year. Did anyone mind? Unfortunately, we are not good caretakers of this street. Okay. I can just throw out just a few thoughts, and I'll just throw them out real quick. The interurban depot.
Yep.
That's a classic example, Yeah, we need to be able to help. We need to be in a position to help these things occur. But anyhow, I'll just say, the old high school should have never been torn down.
All right, that's history.
I know it's history. The building we're sitting in, we should have never done what we did with this. This beautiful Gibson Carter Bank building
should have been left the way it was. And anyhow, and I can go on and on and on.
Well, I think your best point here is that there needs to be some kind of, and if there's a historic district, there must be regulations about tearing down.
Yeah, that's nice. You know, beside grants, you know. I think in the past, I think we worked with the people that got the grants. That we didn't just, we as a council had to approve of what they were doing.
They still do.
Mike said that.
Yeah, okay, I know, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, for the sake of this discussion though, and I can trust, or can we trust Danielle and Jerry to finish up these yes, no answers?
Yeah.
Is there any additional input from council as far as guidance towards the planning commission?
Well, sort of kind of, yes, meaning this, that,
That's what I'd like to then focus on for doing this.
so as we take a look at these, Danielle. Are you gonna look at that with the self-assessment, anything that says yes, we're gonna kind of focus on that, or says no, we're gonna kind of focus towards that? What are the thoughts there?
Yeah, so things that we're already doing, we'll probably look at those and just make sure that we know we're going to continue doing them, or how do we know we're doing them? And then the things that you guys said no or improving to, how can we build that into the plan and make sure we get that accomplished in the future? So it'll be I don't know if I explained that very well. Okay.
And some stuff won't be because we're doing it through third-party vendors or partnerships, or it just doesn't apply to.
I mean, and Jerry and Danielle, I'm not trying to be smart here. Is it all feasible that a municipality can do all, can do all this, partner with people to do all this? Is that?
Well, and I think that's why we wanted to have this conversation, because a lot of this, if it's just doing an ordinance so that we allow some of these things to come in, or it's just making sure that we have a sidewalk plan in place, like we're already doing some of those things and they're low cost. It can cost a ton of money, and that's where I think we need to be aware of. I'm gonna use Ann Arbor's plan as an example, because it's really a good plan, but they're investing $6 million in EV charging stations as part of their sustainability plan. There's no way the village of Blissfield can do that. But there's things that we can do that would allow a private person to come in and put an EV charging station. And those are really just time and putting the policy or plan or ordinance together on our side, where we don't necessarily have to fund it, but we say, okay, we're gonna allow this. If somebody comes in, we can have the tools and resources and be like, okay, here you go, this is what's allowed, this is what's not. And then they can decide if it's something they want to do. And I'm using that as an example, but that really applies to a lot of things.
General Motors is offering EV chargers to dealers to donate to their communities.
Oh, I.
So like my dealership just donated 10 EV chargers to the city of Adrian because they're getting ready to redo their parking lot downtown.
Yes.
So I'm trying to work with my company to get 1 or 2 donated for here through NAPS. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And I'll say this, like through DDA and the commercial industrial park, they have the opportunity to set up or list out the properties that are ready for development, that already have ready to be sold or whatnot. And if that works in conjunction with the planning commission, then you have 2 boards plus the council and the master plan all saying the same thing. So I think that's the type of look that we can, some of these afford us the opportunity to do. We're doing them.
Yeah.
We just don't have them necessarily on a checklist.
Right.
So,
Okay.
good.
Well, I mean, I apologize, came right at 7:01. I guess my question is, what is the intent? Like, what brings this about, right? Is that what you're kind of alluding to, Gwen? Because
Sort of, kind of, meaning.
if you look at this, and I went through this at work, and
This one, yes.
this is a very, very progressive something that really doesn't qualify for what Blissfield is right now. This is much larger communities. You look at, these are communities that have money, that have a tax base, that have more of a diverse funding mechanism. I mean, this is stuff that I would never think that we would go for. We're not even close to being
Not
at
even
this
to
level.
look at slash focus slash, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean.
There are some things, though.
DEI and inclusion, I mean, number one, our budget is so tight in the way that people want us to spend. If we run a DEI, investigator or person to make sure that we're focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion.
But-
they run us right out of here. That is.
I mean, I'm not trying to push back, but there are some things like street lights going to.
Exactly, and those are things that we're already doing, but
It's
it's,
fleet
but it doesn't.
management.
But does it have to be, you know what I mean? Are we trying to accomplish this or are we
No.
taking bits and pieces?
Both
Yeah.
of these documents were presented so we could pick through them,
Okay,
what's
Yeah.
best for Blissfield.
perfect, okay. I was hoping we were gonna apply for this because like there's no one. Case that we would ever,
No, we are
Come
applying
close.
for a portion of this, right?
So it cost us nothing for them to go through this.
we
We're
wouldn't get,
applying,
we wouldn't get near bronze. I mean, if you look at.
we're just applying for the help. We're just submitting the challenge.
It doesn't mean we
With-
have to do anything.
Right, we don't have to do anything, but that opens Michigan Green Communities up as a resource for us so that whatever we do moving forward, they're there. And the only requirement for them to help us is to do that challenge.
My fear is
response.
if you did a survey of what citizens in
Oh,
this
yeah.
village or in this village think, this is way beyond progressive thoughts of what the village resident.
And this is why we, exactly as a member of the planning commission, wanted council's input on this, because when we started talking about this. We sat in planning commission going, well, what the heck do they want from us? So that's why we. Started doing some research, what's out there as far as sustainability plans
So it's
go.
not quite transparent, Jerry, so now this has been done, okay, so this is gonna be sent in, right? To the green,
Yeah, let's just see.
right, then, but. Where are you guys gonna focus on? How do we determine what's gonna be focused on? I'm still confused.
That's what we wanted direction from council.
So
Because
what they
this
have
came
given
from
you-
council, it didn't come from the planning commission.
So Frank Baker approached us.
Right.
With the sustainability
And we,
concept,
yes,
and then we moved it to planning
planning
commission.
commission said,
Planning commission has done some research and said that this is sort of the forethought. What's council's pleasure, so that they don't go ahead and start down an avenue and waste their time.
I get that, so now, so. How do you know from this what to do next?
I
So,
don't.
That's why I asked now.
I know,
We've
right.
done this, what,
Well, and that's,
so I do though, a little bit.
okay,
And this is gonna be new for all of us. So we just went through all of this and I made notes and Darian made notes, so we'll hopefully we'll be kind of straightened out here. Some of these things we're not gonna do. They don't apply to us. We're never gonna have the staffing to do it. But some of these we already are. So if we're already doing it, how do I know that? Is it in an ordinance? Is it in a plan? And can I merge that plan into a sustainability plan? So that's gonna be step one.
okay.
Step two, what are the things we're doing but want to improve? And how could we incorporate those into the plan to improve them? And then the third part of that is the things we're not doing, but you guys identified we want to do. How do we build that in? And then we will formulate kind of a tiered plan. Okay, these are things we're doing really well. These are our goals moving forward. And then that would become like an addendum to the master plan. But before we get to the final stages, I'll work with planning commission to go through the steps I just told you. We'll come up with a rough draft to bring that back to you guys and be like, okay, this is what we have so far based off of our conversation at this meeting. Is this look like something that you guys would support? Do you have concerns, questions? And we'll kind of go from there. Based on that conversation, we'll formulate a final plan, approve that and bring it back to you guys.
And I know you said that like twice already. I needed to hear it again.
You're okay.
And I'm still probably gonna ask you another time.
That's okay.
This is brand new for us.
Yes, this is
So-
brand new.
so what I would think would, a working document and a guiding principle document would come out of this. So
Yeah.
something, in line with the budget, master plan,
It all.
capital improvement plan,
Yes,
all works together with the sustainability.
okay,
My only recommendation would say to the planning commission when we're working on this 5-year, 10-year plan. Is focus on sustainability that's gonna make things cheaper. We cannot afford to spend money to make things more green, more sustainable. But by spending more money, and that is just, the purse strings are tight now.
Mhm.
And it is, pipe dream as we wish we could, replace everything with windmills or. There's things that we're doing now. We switched all of the LED, all of the street lights in the town to become LED. That was a cost saving measure. We paid for that over the course of 3 years in cost savings. So things that have legitimate, I guess, answers or legitimate things that we can solve now. Yes, exactly. There's things that we would love to do above and beyond, but we just can't afford to do it.
ROI over.
We cannot hand money out to, the social equity portion of it, we can't touch. We just can't afford it.
I like, I have that.
Okay, is everyone ready to pivot to personnel manuals? I think we can jump right to page 8. So
And if you guys as planning commission members want to get out of here, you're more than welcome. You can stay too, by the way.
yeah, art's not going anywhere.
I got
And down in-
what?
Thank you for your insight.
Yeah.
Make sure you fill his bike tires for him, Mary.
What?
Get your bike tires filled.
You have the stage, yes, you'll bring me home. No. Thanks, I know I'm less than the side. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks for putting up.
Anytime. All right, so if we skip forward to page 8, slide 2 over assume.
So we go to page 8, it was just maybe no
Yeah.
more.
I think that was it.
Okay,
Anybody, any changes on page 10?
so I do want to I did share all of the changes with staff after I made them, and I sent them to you guys as well. I did receive a comment back that the police department would like to be able to include lieutenant in interviews for the police department. So for like all other employees, it says administrator, department head. And we removed the one staff member, so I don't know how you guys want to do that, or if you want to leave it, or just, I guess, throwing that comment out.
Where are you on that?
On page 10,
It would be like
under all other full-time employees, it's specifically for like the officers.
Got it.
I think if the head wants to invite somebody to.
In the interview
Technically a
process.
lower, yeah, they're technically still a higher position.
As part of the interview process.
You wouldn't have so we only have one lieutenant, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
So like a lieutenant wouldn't sit in on a lieutenant interview. Right. I think that's what we're alluding to.
Right,
So
so
as
that
long
would
as you
be,
don't have peer-to-peer.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this takes Lisa out of the mix. Is that, okay, Lisa, how are you feeling about this? This is appropriate to ask you. I mean, I know this is something that we had a lot of discussion about before.
It's not just me, is it?
I don't think, no, and I apologize, it's not just you. It would be, who would that be considered as, Danielle, specifically, if you could?
We've eliminated all peer-to-peer.
Right, so the only person would be the supervisor of the department and the administrator for the other employees. So that would be like CPW, it's gonna be Brent and I, or whoever is in Brent's position. If it's water treatment, it's gonna be Nora and I. Wastewater, Randy and I.
Yep.
Police would be chief, lieutenant and I.
And honestly, I think with department heads, it's like sometimes they have to go with who's a better fit. Character, personnel wise, sometimes it's who's gonna be better at the job, depending on, it's really job dependent, right? So we're empowering them to build their team here. So I have no additional suggestions on 10. Page 10, anybody else?
Looks good.
Page 14 is just a strike through. Page 19, I don't really remember this.
That was the,
The PTO.
yeah,
Okay.
for new staff, you know, do you use it or lose it, or do you lose it if you're a newer staff member?
21.
So I know Tim's not here, but I did talk to him today. He did want to change this. He said that his memory, it was just for the common law marriage. To take out the same sex because he feels like that's already included as a spouse, that it doesn't have to be identified separate. So I did ask him the question. I took that language right from the FMLA language. So my only question to you guys is if you want me to remove the same sex here, I would just propose we do it under the FMLA section so that those match. But again, it's up to you guys. I told him I'd share that comment.
Why is it included in FMLA? Why is it distinct? Is it protected under Michigan?
Right, the attorneys drafted the entire FMLA section, but it's derived or comes right out of
Michigan.
federal law, actually, it's not even state. So the way it's written in federal law, it's written that same way. And when we had talked about this, common law marriage was the only, to my memory, the only thing brought up, but
Right.
at that time I said, I'll just pull
Yeah.
the FMLA language, and that's how it got put in there. But again.
I prefer to have it in so it cannot be interpreted going forward. So it's written.
I'm with Tim, I think the law designates what a spouse is, that comes from federal law, and that's indiscriminate, so we already know what that is, that's been set in precedent.
If the federal law is choosing to say include same sex, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, and I think federally, it's because of all the, and I don't even know all the states made now, but at one point, and I don't know when this was changed federally, not every state recognized same-sex marriage. So again, I don't really have a preference either way, I guess I wanted to bring that up for Tim.
Well, common law marriage doesn't even exist in Michigan anymore, correct?
Right.
I don't know, I just do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I
Well,
know
And a lot more people do exist.
Yeah.
Well, you know, some states do.
Are you being specific on common law or just saying?
Is there a federal definition of common law?
I think the reason that I had said common law at the prior meeting is simply because it stated those words, that verbiage, I think, in the FMLA.
Correct,
And
yeah.
that's why I chose that
Okay.
verbiage, because that was for the consistency.
Where is
for
that, what other page is that?
Yeah, I'd have to go to that section here, bear with me.
And that was the reason I stated that.
I mean, honestly, if we have child, step parent, stepchild, foster child, sister, brother, half sister, half brother, grandparent, grandchild, mother-in-law, father-in-law, son-in-law,
I say leave
sister-in-law, brother-in-law, we might as well leave in same sex
in common law.
and common law as well. We listed everybody else out, and there it is in black and white, so. That way we can't be accused of.
It's
That's
on
right.
page 27, Mike, under 12. The definition includes an individual in a same-sex or common law marriage.
What page?
Page 27. And then I think it's somewhere else.
There it is.
Well, then you're spelling it out twice, you don't need to spell it out twice, because spouse is defined right here.
But that definition is
It's only for the
specifically for the FMLA section, and that section is so detailed because it is
Everything's
regulated
spelled right there.
federally.
Son or daughter.
I mean, whatever, I just want to, if the law allows it, then fine. I mean, I don't agree with it, but if the law allows it, then it is what it is. I think it's, you know, we have to quote spell it out rather than just be inclusive and allow it. That's my frustration with it, but it has to be, well,
I understand.
So,
Well,
now wait a minute.
There's a reason.
Now, wait a minute, if you look at child, would you automatically assume all those others? Stepchild, foster, half? I wouldn't. It says child.
no, I think you're right, yeah, it's expanded upon what norm, I would say most other businesses or, you know, a private business would include,
It is,
so.
it is expanded, but it's, there's no,
We are.
no wishy-washiness.
It should say, not to be deducted for PTO, leave of death for immediate family, and then. That would just be, oh, hey, Danielle, this person died, as long as you're consistent.
Nope.
So precedent you move forward through.
Those are the old days, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
brother,
know,
not gonna happen.
And then you'll get somebody say, well, what is immediate family?
They will.
Well, right here it's spelled out.
I think this protects the village,
Mhm.
so I'd be in favor of leaving it.
I'm good with it. There's no ambiguity there.
I would say leave it as well.
Eric, any input?
No, I agree with that. As long and drawn out as it is, but it does.
Yeah.
Get pretty
are we
disruptive.
forgetting anybody unless.
There's no gray area.
As a village twice removed, I just wanna make sure that, you know, it is 100%.
We're at 69 pages. What's a few more
As long as
words?
they have teeth, we're okay.
What's wrong with just having a tooth? I guess we can jump ahead to 39 then.
Yeah, it's just clothing allowance, I think we all agree on.
There's a change on 32. And it's, I don't know, it just says that the employee will use all leave days before being eligible for a leave of absence without any.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the next one is
39.
So I do want to also let you guys know, I did have 3 department heads come to me. They don't like this change. They actually had some concerns that it would be harder. They wanted to keep it the same way that it was previously. So some of they said that they don't like a couple of reasons, having the burden of like being the one to issue it when things are destroyed or worn out. Another one had identified that they had some employees who had been here for a decent amount of time and could turn in a worn out, damaged piece of clothing or 2 every week for an entire year, which would actually cost the village more. And right now, because they know that they get the 2 per year, they kind of make it last and they don't abuse it. And maybe they wouldn't moving forward either. So I did want to share that those 3 felt it should just stay the way it was.
Which it was 2 per.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
That doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Because we buy the 2 per year now, and that's what they get. Whether they need it or not, most of the time, what they're saying is, most of the time when that time comes, they need it. Where if we are replacing it as they're destroyed or worn out, we're actually gonna be purchasing more clothing for our employees.
So they were okay with 5, they would rather not have the destroyed or worn out. As part of the policy.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
probably be, they're good, they
I would agree
want
with
it to be like the set time a year, yes, I would agree based on their comments, they're concerned that it's going. They don't wanna get to a point where now we're spending more money on clothing and then they lose that benefit altogether, so they wanna be diligent. And watch this budget so that it continues to be something they get, and if they keep that in control, and then the other thing is, they don't wanna have to be the bad guy that. Is like, oh, your boots are fine and yours aren't, and then they're fighting because this person got new boots and this one didn't. And both felt that they should have, or whatever.
Do you have a suggestion on that then, Danielle, to strike out the own replace issue clothing and just do this, the annual basis and go back to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would
what would? what you
definitely
heard?
defer, and based off what the employees have told me who have been here longer than me. And seeing the budget for clothing and that our employees are really responsible, I would leave it as the annual basis.
You would.
I would, yes. In fact. I would probably do like a higher initial issue for them to start, and then I would do like a 5 to start initially.
And then go.
And then 2 of each every year after employment,
That makes sense.
because when they start, they're gonna need more than when they've been here for 5 years.
I agree with that, but summer shirts. You gotta get a few more summer shirts.
Okay,
I mean, it's just like, that's when the bulk of a lot of work gets done, and t-shirts are t-shirts, and they just, I mean, you gotta give them 4 or 5 t-shirts for the summer.
And yeah, here's my thing, I love the DPW guys, but they all wear something different, like, if we have a brand, put our name on it. Provide it to them, it is a uniform, they should wear something that identifies what their job are, who they are.
yeah, and they did stop doing that because the cost of the embroidery, labeling it just started to get really expensive, so they started going to like the work shirts. Which, because we did talk about that as well, so that's why they don't do that, again, trying to kind of watch that budget and. Make sure that they were getting something that was gonna be comfortable and.
Have we ever checked into anything like Cintas or for them? Or is it too cost prohibitive?
I have not, no, I will be completely honest, I've never really looked at, I mean, other than watching their budgets and. Stuff like that for their clothing, the department heads, they take care of that and get what they need, I've not looked at any other options.
The only problem with that, Jerry, is then do they take it home with them? Or do we have to have some sort of locker room?
Which they have now.
With the syntax room.
They
With
got a locker
Cintas,
right
yeah.
down there. Hopefully. DPW. Don't they have lockers down
They
there?
have lockers down there, yeah, wastewater and does not. Water. Probably could, I don't think they do, but we could do something there, definitely easier than wastewater, but.
Well,
I'll mention,
water and sewer don't even. They don't wear any uniforms, do they?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
They do?
Yes, so they're included, this is for DPW, water and sewer employees, they all get these.
I like how you switch to the, I guess, upon hiring or whatever, you get the 5, because. Nobody wants to have 2 pairs of pants and work a full 5-day work week. That's ridiculous. We shouldn't expect that. Oh crap, it's Wednesday. I don't have any work pants. Like, oh, the village gave me 2. No, give them something. And then again, my point is replace what we need. If they have to wear a uniform, we should provide the uniform. I guess the intent of adding that things would be destroyed or worn is to. I think the exact opposite of what I was trying to accomplish again, I guess, because we don't want them, number one, you going home. Working on their car and destroying pants or, or not taking care of the stuff. But again, I don't think. We're hiring people that are just gonna destroy the stuff just to get new stuff either. Would hope we would
I'm
put a little
cool.
bit more faith in our staff.
Well, and I don't think that was what they're trying to say, I think they're saying that they have enough clothing that they could turn in multiple pieces. To be replaced that were worn out at work, like they're not.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is the initial. The village shall provide the following clothing items to full-time DPW water and sewer employees on an initial basis. We need to come up with a list, five, and then. Next section, the village shall provide the following clothing items to full-time DPW water and sewer in place on an annual basis. What's the number there? 2. Does that make sense?
5 initially, 2 every year after that.
And then just check with Brent, the guys, and see if 2 is gonna get the job done, or if we need to increase summer shirts. Like if they say, I don't need winter pants annually, then great. But or if you only need 1 pair, or whatever, they can have a little bit of wiggle. And then,
Okay.
so get the input there and we'll vote on it. All right. Any other input there? Where's the next round?
Yeah, but I'm done with that.
Lisa, you're awfully quiet. You want to take a roll call?
Yes,
That
that
looks
is
like
it.
it.
Okay, so last question I have for you guys regarding this. What do you want to do next? Again, I'm gonna share for Tim. During our phone call earlier, he did say that he would like this to come back up for discussion before it goes to council for approval.
Discussion with who?
With council before it goes to a board or.
Like a meeting of the whole?
He didn't
Or-
specify, he just said he'd like it to come back up for discussion. I'm guessing a committee of the whole or some other meeting. Other than a council meeting for action.
What is there more to what more is there to discuss?
What was his reason?
He did not identify and I don't want to
Oh.
speak for him.
I think we've actually had enough discussion. If you want to make the changes, confirm with DPW, water, sewer, email it out. I think if there's any other major. If any council member has any major input, maybe. But other than that, I think,
And discussion can happen at a meeting, an open meeting.
Right, right.
I think bring it up, we can discuss it and approve it.
I can't imagine it would be a lengthy discussion.
I hope not.
No, would that?
At this point, I think.
And what I'll do is I'll push, I'm not gonna put it on the next council meeting. I'll get the changes, there's the 2. I'll get those completed. I'll send it out to staff and council again. And then I'll get it on a meeting in May.
Yeah, if you can finalize
And
it.
I'll just say some date like, hey, if you have any major things, let me know. And we'll go from there.
Sure.
Document.
Okay,
Much needed. Yeah.
anything else? Right. Right, Senate.
Right.
Sure. Thank you, everyone.